The story continues into the year 1777 and 1778, and circumstances are going to change. Up until that point in time, Benedict Arnold and George Washington actually do work very well together. But in early 1777, something happens. It's actually February of 1777. The Continental Congress decides they are going to regulate the promotion of general officers in the Continental Army. And among the general officers, certainly Benedict Arnold, and he certainly has the support of George Washington to be promoted to Major General. At this point in time, in February 1777, Arnold is the ranking brigadier in the Continental Army, and one of the criteria was seniority, so he's got that one. The second criteria was merit, and there, at this point, is really no more meritorious general officer in the Continental Army based on everything that has happened in 1776 and Arnold's positive, although not always winning, actions. The third category has to do with the number of troops or quota of troops being supplied by particular states. And there Arnold has a problem. Connecticut is not a leader, and there are two major generals ahead of him in rank, neither one of whom is very distinguished. So Congress then gets involved in this, I know this is surprising, in a political log roll about who they are going to promote into these positions, and they promote 5 individuals who are brigadiers over Arnold. And generally speaking, it is a most undistinguished lot. I could give you examples. Thomas Mifflin of Pennsylvania will go on to cause all sorts of supply shortages in the Continental Army. Adam Stephen, as a second example from Virginia, an old friend of Washington's, will be drunk in a battle at Germantown and will be cashiered from the service. These are the people who are promoted over Arnold. And Washington is very, very disappointed. And he talks, and what he does is, and he does more than talk, he actually communicates with an old friend of his from Virginia, Richard Henry Lee, and he really says, "What's wrong? Why didn't you promote Arnold? I don't understand what's going on. We desperately need good people in the Army. We need this sensible, competent officer to serve, and I need he's the very kind of person that I need, dynamic, enterprising, persevering." And Richard Henry Lee says, well, probably politics were going on. I'll see if I can help a little bit. But basically, the Congress doesn't do anything. And so Washington is left with the task of sending a letter to Benedict Arnold telling him that even though you are probably the most meritorious officer, you're the senior officer, there is this other little problem about your state's participation, and therefore you have been passed over. Washington knew that Arnold would not take this news lightly, and certainly Arnold did not. From his point of view, it was an attack on his honor as a gentleman, his reputation, very, very important qualities in the 18th century among leaders, and he's prepared to defend his honor, and the way he would defend his honor, saying, well, obviously you don't think my contributions are worthy enough for recognition, therefore I have no choice but to resign my commission. Well, Washington sort of is encouraging Arnold, don't do that, don't act rashly. And Arnold is fully capable at certain times of acting very rashly, and so this goes on and back and forth, and finally Arnold asked to be relieved of command in the Rhode Island area. He'll go home, and this is toward the end of April of 1777, and the British, a 2,000-person force, has just invaded eastern Connecticut, and their target is Danbury, which is a major supply depot for the Continental Army. And Arnold will then turn, rally the militia, and will help drive the British out of eastern Connecticut toward the end of April, as I said, at this point in time in 1777. And lo and behold, not once, but twice, in 2 separate engagements, Arnold has horses shot dead out from underneath him. He is in the thick of the fighting. He is leading over and over again. And, well, in fact, it's rather embarrassing for a Continental Congress that just turned him down, because he has just again demonstrated his merit and his talent as an active, spirited officer, as Washington views him. Well, the bottom line is Congress doesn't know what to do, but They're not going to, shall we say, go away red-faced. There's discussion about whether they should strike a medal to him, which is considered a great honor at this point in time, but we might not look good if we do that. After all, we just turned him down for promotion. So what they do is, and Arnold's going to end up in Philadelphia because he's going to go to Philadelphia to make his case that he deserves to not only regain his rank, but regain his seniority over the other 5 promoted over him. And so Arnold gets to Philadelphia, and I don't know what to say. It's really kind of interesting. The Congress will then vote to give him a new horse, fully caparisoned, as they said, which means it has lots of, saddles and bridles and all that sort of thing to go along with it. So Arnold's stuck with a horse. That's his reward. Oh, yes, and by the way, we're sorry about passing you over for promotion. We'll make you a major general. But what haven't they done? They haven't. Congress has not given him back his seniority, and if you don't have both, it's still some sort of a sullying of his honor in his mind. He will write, I fought, I bled. He'd been wounded seriously. And my honor's at stake. I can't compromise my honor, but it doesn't make any difference with Congress. And so this brings us to July of 1777. Arnold will one morning go in and he'll lay his resignation on the table. Here's my commission, I'm going home. Very same time, Washington writes a letter and he says to Congress, I need help in the Northern Theater again. And I want Benedict Arnold. That's the person who can help stabilize the situation, because now the British have a major invasion underway under General John Burgoyne. That force is moving out of Canada in June of 1777. Arnold will go north. He will become heavily engaged in trying to resist the British, very effectively so. And then he will really be the man in the field on September 19th and October 7th in the 2 engagements at Saratoga, leading the Americans to victory. Meantime, Horatio Gates, who really is threatened by Arnold, is the overall commander. Gates doesn't want to give Arnold credit. Arnold understands that. But Arnold is actually removed from command by Gates, but he'll still come out in the field in the second battle and lead the Americans to victory. In the process, he rides into a British redoubt. The horse is again shot out from underneath him in this situation. The horse comes and crashes down on his leg, the same leg wounded at Quebec. The leg was also shot, and from that point forward, Arnold will be a semi-cripple for the rest of his life, fighting in the cause of liberty. This is a critical moment for Benedict Arnold. Arnold will spend the next several months in a military hospital trying to recover from this horrible wound. And what is unfortunate indeed is that the Continental Congress, seeing what this brave man had done, decides to declare Horatio Gates the hero of Saratoga, not the real hero, Benedict Arnold. They mint a medal to Gates, not to Arnold. And Arnold is aware of all of these actions, and what will happen is Congress finally says, we will restore your seniority. They dump the assignment on George Washington, and this is the telling point. Washington, because he's so busy with other problems like the Conway Cabal that we don't have time to talk about today, doesn't get to Arnold with the news that he's been restored to his seniority, that everything is back and good. He doesn't do it until January 1778. Arnold now takes 5 weeks to respond to the commander-in-chief. And in that letter, which is a very important letter, you can begin to feel Arnold's total disillusionment and bitterness, because he says, I'm happy to try to support you if I can, but I want you to know that I wish you all good success with your cause and your attempt to establish this country. Notice he didn't say our cause and our country. He said your cause and your country. And that's the warning sign that Benedict Arnold has begun to rethink his position about being an enthusiastic American patriot. And that's a very important letter that he wrote to George Washington in March of 1778.